I just want to formally address it to the audience. Yes, Tom and I are divorcing. It is extremely sad. I don't know if I was going to cry this soon. It is very sad. We have tried to work it out for several years, and we gave it all we could. We've been through a lot together. This is just an unfortunate thing. We are amicable. This is not an ugly divorce. Yeah, you don't need to take teams.
About a month ago, July 13th, news breaks that Christina P. and Tom Segura are officially done. 18 years of marriage, 2 kids, one of the biggest podcast empires on the internet is officially over. And the same exact day that story hits, an episode of Tom's other podcast, Two Bears, One Cave, drops. Fans click on the video and they notice something. His wedding ring is gone. He wore it on the June 29th episode. By the episode that dropped the day the divorce went public, it's off. No announcement, no speech. The man just let the ring do the talking. And honestly, if you've watched his show over the last few years, none of this really surprised you because Tom told us over and over on the mic for years. Like, for example, here's Tom Segura being asked on his own show what he would do if his wife, the mother of his own children, lost her life.
If Christina died, what would your move be? Like, what would you do?
Enjoy my life? I don't know. Like,
Everybody's laughing at this. It's a bit. It's honestly a pretty funny joke. Except now half of his fan base is going back through a decade of these bits, wondering how much of it was ever a joke at all. So I'm gonna take you through exactly what happened, what the internet is convinced happened, and the one thing that multiple YouTube channels are saying that I believe is flat out wrong. Because it's very easy to say that Tom Segura is a monster who dumped his wife the moment he got on Ozempic and got hot. But in my opinion, I think this is way messier than that and way deeper than that. And I have the receipts to back it up. Now, before we get to the content, we're a few hundred subscribers away from getting to 100,000 subscribers on this channel. So if you're not subscribed and you want to help us hit that incredible milestone, make sure you do so. And now that we get all that out of the way, let's get to today's video. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So let me separate the facts from the fan fiction real quick. TMZ broke this first. Tom and Christina have separated after 18 years of marriage. They got married in 2008. They've got 2 sons, Ellis, who's 9, and Julian, who's 7. And according to the reporting, the split happened within the last couple of months and it was completely amicable. Different paths, still devoted to the kids. It's a pretty standard celebrity breakup release. Christina broke her silence a few days later on July 18th with an Instagram story. Thank you for all the kind messages. This is a really difficult time for our family. And she added one detail that matters for everything you're about to see. The podcast episodes coming out right now were recorded in advance. So that's what was confirmed. It was an amicable, mutual, civil split that is sad for sure. And honestly, if that was the story, it would be a pretty boring story to tell. And that's why exactly nobody is really telling that version, because the internet doesn't want amicable. The internet wants a villain, and it's pretty easy to pick a villain here. If I showed you all the clips of Tom Segura shitting on his wife and hitting on adult film actresses, you probably won't like him so much.
Tour.
Like a maniac.
I know.
Okay, you have 2 kids. How old?
Yep.
6 and 4.
This is like almost like abusive, right? How much he tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Is that an issue?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You talk about it?
Oh, on air on this show, no, but in private, yeah. It's horrible. It's terrible.
Why don't you talk about it on there?
Yeah.
Okay. 4 and 6.
You like your life, Christina?
Now, if you ask anyone online, everyone's gonna say this is Tom's fault. It's pretty easy to not like this guy. He got rich, he got famous, he lost a bunch of weight, and then he's trying to trade in his old wife of 18 years for a younger version. One outlet literally summed up the whole online reaction as Tom lost 30 pounds and turned into Andrew Tate. Now, I'm not gonna say that that narrative doesn't make sense, because it makes a lot of sense. Tom handed people the ammo himself. But here's where I wanna do something that other channels didn't really bother to do. I wanna actually check which parts of the Tom's a scumbag argument holds up, and which parts are people turning old podcast jokes into a criminal indictment. Because some of it is very valid, and some of it, I'm gonna be honest, is completely made up. And my job here is I want to give you the full story so you could form your own conclusion. I'm not saying that the people that think Tom's a scumbag are wrong, but I feel like a lot of people aren't showing the other side of the story just so they could push that narrative even further. So let's start with the part that's real. For those of you guys that don't know who Tom Segura is, the man that people fell in love with was a big self-deprecating everyman. That was the entire brand. The guy who joked about being fat, being lazy, and being a disaster.
That I'm fat. I don't like when people like they feel. Sometimes you're like, I'm fat, and they're like, It's under my control, It's not like weather where I'm like, oh, these fat pellets are raining down on me. Like,
So you can understand the appeal here. This is very relatable humor and relatable content. But over the last couple of years, as he became more successful, that man disappeared. Tom dropped from 265 pounds down to 187 pounds. That's nearly 80 pounds. Lifting 4 days a week, dialed in on his macros, eating 4 meals a day off a nutritionist plan.
the most I ever weighed was 265.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And what are you now?
187.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it's like, 80 pounds? I feel so much better.
Of course.
I'm lifting 4 days a week.
Wow.
The big difference is that I dialed in not with croissants, but I've dialed in my nutrition a lot more. Like I eat 4 times a day now. And I'm on top of my macros. You know what I mean? Things I've never done before.
Why do you eat 4 times a day?
This nutritionist just gave me this plan, and I've been just doing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I eat 50 grams of protein at each of those 4 different meals.
Now look, physically, this is very good for him, genuinely, but something else changed as well. Because as the weight came off, the ambition cranked up. Tom's been open that stand-up was never even his dream.
But I moved to LA because I was like, I want to do movies.
In his own words, when he moved to LA, it had nothing to do with stand-up. He wanted to do movies. He wanted to be a movie star. And suddenly, here's 47-year-old shredded Tom chasing exactly that. He's booking film roles. He's landing an Emmy nomination, and he's starting a whole photography side hobby with a 5-figure camera and a dedicated Instagram for his shots. Now, I understand it's very easy to look at this from the perspective of a man that is clearly having a midlife crisis, but if we strip all of this down, strip who this man is as a person, and just come to terms with none of this being a crime, then you can kind of look at this from a different lens. Plenty of people get in shape and chase a dream at 47. The issue isn't the glow up. The issue is what came out of his mouth once he got there, because this is where relatable Tom turned into something his old fans didn't recognize at all, and that's where the problem started. Here's the part that I actually care about, because this is not speculation. It's on tape, and it's the cleanest example of who Tom became. This is a guy whose entire career was built by Joe Rogan handing him a microphone. He blew up off that platform, off of being the broke, funny, relatable guy. And then once the money came in, he went on 2 Bears, 1 Cave and started dunking on the same exact fans who had his back and were supporting him when he was a loser. When people pointed out that the watch and the car flexing was a bit much, Tom's response wasn't to laugh it off. It was to tell them that they had a problem with their mindset.
You know what? You only have what you have because of fans, so don't talk about us like that.
Yeah, but you're still a loser if you're thinking like that. So I'm lucky to have you as a loser fan, but you don't have to be that way. You could be a winner.
His actual advice to broke fans struggling with rent was, figure it out. And that if you're mad about his $50,000 watch, that's on you. You're being bitter, petty, insecure, and you need to change how you think if you ever want to make it.
If you're still mad about this, just know that it's your mindset and you're thinking like a fucking loser. But you can change the way you think, but you have to accept the way you're thinking right now is not going to get you anywhere.
Could you think about the hypocrisy there for a second? The man wrote a free platform to riches and then told the people who helped him build that platform that their poverty is a character flaw. Bro, this is not a manosphere villain doing manosphere things. This isn't Andrew Tate. This is way worse than that, because he was supposed to be one of us, the fat funny guy who finally made it. And the second he got out, he turned around and called everybody in the room a loser. And it's not just a podcast thing. That ego leaks out into the real world as well. There's the time that Tom had to gate check his carry-on bag, which, by the way, happens all the freaking time. It's not the biggest deal. It's a normal thing that happens to millions of people every single day. Is it ideal? No, it's actually very freaking annoying, especially because one time I had to gate check my bag, and then they ended up losing my bag after I gate checked it, and then I went a day without my bag at my destination, and I was traveling in Europe at the time. That wasn't fun. fun, but did I act how Tom did? No, because Tom's response to this was going on Twitter and starting a rant about the poors. Like being asked to check a bag was some personal insult from the peasant class. And when the internet clowned him for it, the tweets quietly disappeared. He deleted them. He eventually had to address it. This is a guy so far up his own success that having to travel like a regular person genuinely offended him. The same energy as the fan rant, except this time nobody set him up for the joke. He did it to himself over a freaking suitcase. And this is the same guy who spent years telling you the show mattered more than his marriage as a joke. When he was asked point blank in an interview which was more important, his relationships or the show, Tom didn't hesitate.
But what's more important, your relationship or the show? Obviously the show.
The show.
But he also toured the world basically year round, away from two little kids, to the point where his own wife described the amount he traveled as almost abusive.
You have 2 kids. How old?
Yep.
6 and 4.
So this is like almost like abusive, right? How much he tours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And that's an issue. Is that an issue?
Yeah.
He was saying this on their own podcast, and they just played this for laughs. Do you see the pattern here? Every single red flag was pre-packaged as comedy. So when the marriage actually ends, the audience already has a highlight reel of him telling them it was coming. Okay, so here's a huge take that I've been seeing online. Tom cheated. And let me be crystal clear up front. There's no proof, no reporting, and no statement from either of them that Tom Segura cheated on anyone. So I'm not telling you that he did, but what I'm gonna do instead is show you the stuff he actually did on camera. And when you see this stuff on camera, you can understand why the internet's drawing this conclusion. Over the last few years, Tom leaned hard into a certain kind of bit, bringing adult industry performers onto your mom's house, doing segments where the joke is that a guest is the new Christina, here to replace his wife. Him and Bert Kreischer riffing on air about trying to talk their wives into threesomes.
We have to ask you this question before we wrap up. You spent basically an hour and a half with the two of us.
Yeah.
And we've asked many people this, and we've asked the audiences this. Who do you think you were more likely to fall in love with if it was you had to pick?
Take a second.
Take it. You can answer quickly.
Take a second, and you can ask us questions. Would you really Tom and I at the same time?
Totally.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Why weren't what's wrong with our wives that they won't let us do that?
They're
Well,
fucking retards.
To Tom's defenders, it's just crude comedy. That's the show. That's always been the show. But to everybody else, it's kind of weird, bro. Like, it's a married father spending that much on-camera energy joking about replacing his wife. I mean, this reads way differently once your wife is actually gone. Then there's the Bert clip that everyone's resurfacing.
Tom and I have an offer to DP, a porn star. We're not, hold on. We'd like to do it with strap-ons wearing underwear for a live show. Would you let us do that?
No.
Okay, would you wear a strap-on?
No.
Can we be in the room while people pretend to be us?
I think that's gross.
I love you.
That's not a no.
Love you too.
Then there's the Bert clip everyone's been resurfacing. The one from back in 2023 where Bert tells the story of Tom skipping the premiere of his movie The Machine, and Bert on a podcast jokes that Tom must be cheating.
Hey man, are you gonna make it to the premiere? Please tell me you're making it to the premiere. No reply. I then call him and he's like, hey man, I can't make it. And I told Rogan, Tom's cheating on Christina. I was like, something.
He started joking about a Swedish wife over in Europe, and people are passing this around like it's a signed confession. And as a result, people are really thinking that Tom probably cheated on his wife. Now, again, there's no definitive evidence of this. And of course, these two are comedians, but you could draw your own conclusion about that situation yourself. To be completely fair to Tom, there's also another take that Tom left Christina right after her cancer, which is also false. Christina revealed her breast cancer diagnosis was in the summer of 2024. She had surgery and announced that she was cancer-free that September. The separation happened in the spring of 2026, nearly 2 years later. So you can't really say that the man dumped her on her hospital bed, but at the same time, you can make a very reasonable argument that this could be when the cracks started to form. I mean, if you're getting divorced 2 years later, then obviously 2 years prior when she's going through her cancer could potentially be where issues started to arise. But I think the thing that people don't really like about this the most is how Andrew Tate injected himself into this, and people are speculating that this is when Tom started having an idea that he could be living a better life if he just divorced his wife. You see, back in 2021, Your Mom's House had Andrew Tate, episode 636. This was before most of the mainstream even knew who Andrew Tate was. Keep that in mind. This was before Andrew Tate became Andrew Tate. And Tom is sitting there like he's a student to Andrew Tate being a guru. Like, pay attention. When Tate went into his whole women should be submissive routine, Tom was nodding along, calling it a learning experience, telling Tate that he exceeded expectations.
If everyone had a Lambo, you wouldn't want a Lambo.
Right.
Right? So we want status. So every single thing we do is status driven to some degree. Meaning the female we are with has to add status to our lives in some form. That's why we like beautiful women, right? Oh, well, so many women say to me, you're so, Andrew, you know what? But you're smart and you're actually very intelligent. And I know you'd get really bored. And I'm sitting there thinking, bitch, I wish to God you were a robot.
Sometimes you see these videos of these guys that are lost, and then they walk into a church. Preacher says like the exact right thing from the Bible, and the guy's like, oh my God, this is what I needed. I feel the same way right now.
Now, here's what I think. This whole saga has this cruel comedy to it. Not because Christina P. and Duncan Trussell are joking about smoking cigarettes on a podcast together, because, well, life isn't necessarily going well if you haven't smoked in years and all of a sudden you're deciding to smoke after a divorce.
I'm Christina P. This is Duncan Trussell.
Hello.
Tom's not here and we're smoking. I'm going to be 50 next month. Already beat cancer, so have you. I've already quit this once. This is the first time in 20 years I've been smoking.
Feels good.
It is nice.
But the cruel comedy is the fact that these two have spent years joking about this exact outcome.
Let me tell you something. That's what ruins men's wealth. I was talking to some financial advisor on an airplane, and we were talking about what ruins people's wealth, and he's like, it's divorce. Divorce is the first one. You get clean out. So you and I cannot split. If you want to keep your money, bro.
This is your sales pitch?
This is my sales pitch on staying married forever, okay?
You see, like, this was originally delivered as a joke to make us laugh, and it's landing very differently now. And it wasn't just them. When you watch other interviews where other comedians are around these two, the divorce jokes basically write themselves.
Go ahead.
I think your divorce should be pay-per-view. We all know it's coming, right?
Now, both of them are laughing it off. Another comedian is suggesting that the divorce should be the pay-per-view. When everyone in your orbit is making the same joke for years, it stops being a joke and starts being the thing that nobody's willing to say directly. And if you go back and you watch their later episodes together, the chemistry that made the show work early on is just gone. The goofing around curdled into Tom looking annoyed every time that she talked. You can feel the fun draining out in real time. Now, is this just me reading a marriage through podcast clips? Well, partially, and I'll admit that. Two people who work together every single day are going to have some bad chemistry episodes. But the audience isn't wrong that something shifted. They watched it happen one Tuesday upload at a time. So here's where it actually stands right now. On paper, these two are still running a podcast empire together. Your Mom's House, the whole YMH Studios network, but they've stopped recording together. They're alternating, hosting solo episodes on their own. So here's my take. Everyone is saying Tom is a villain who abandoned his cancer surviving wife, and that's the story that's getting millions of views, but I think that's a little exaggerated. And the cheating story that everyone's certain about doesn't have enough proof behind it for me to be convinced. I think it's very easy to feel this way about Tom Segura when you watch his descent into the man that he is now, and that's my take on why this divorce happened. Tom Segura got so rich and shredded and Hollywood brain that he slowly turned into a guy who valued the show over his marriage. He flexed on his own broke fans, and he treated his wife on mic like an obstacle. And this is just the latest step in his descent into becoming the new version of himself. And that's not a good thing. The reason why that's my take, as opposed to me just saying he's a villain who abandoned his cancer surviving wife or claiming that he cheated, is the receipts are right there for this, guys. The real question isn't whether Tom's a bad guy. The more fascinating question is what happens to a $100 million podcast empire that only exists because two people are married? What happens to it now that they're not? Because the whole brand was the marriage. So let me know in the comment section down below, how do you feel about these two splitting up? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.